So I want to take a minute here to respond to a maga moron who left a comment for me on social media. Did I just say maga moron? That's redundant, isn't it? I mean, they're all a bunch of fucking morons. But you get the point. Anyway, I don't want to just respond to this particular moron, but I want to take the opportunity of his stupid comment to just respond generally to what all these idiots have been saying the last couple days about disobeying, members of the military disobeying orders from their chain of command. And here's what this particular moron wrote. He said, "This is how you set a dangerous precedent. Anyone can just wake up and think they can tell the military to disobey the commander-in-chief just because they don't like him." No, moron. First of all, members of the military have always had a legal obligation to refuse illegal orders. They take an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, which requires them to act lawfully, to not violate the law. I mean, that's kind of important. If you're going to take an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, then you should probably follow the law. I mean, pretty basic stuff, right? But this idea from all these fucking MAGAs that members of the military are supposed to obey orders without question, no matter what order they are given, they are to carry it out. And if they don't, it's treason, it's sedition, it's punishable by death. So what if one of these members of the military who have been deployed to American cities illegally, what if they are given an order to shoot on sight anyone who looks Hispanic? Is it treason if they don't do that? If they say, "Sir, I believe that is an illegal order. I refuse to do that. My oath to the Constitution compels me to refuse this order. I am not going to shoot on sight anyone who appears to be Hispanic." That's treason. That's sedition. That is punishable by death. That's what they're saying. By the way, why would anyone want to serve in the military right now under this president? Obviously, they can't just, "Oh, well, Trump won, I'm going to quit." And I know a lot of people in the military supported Trump. This is not to disparage or question anyone's service, but I'm just saying, look what these MAGAs expect of you if you're a member of the military. That you are to be a mindless drone who follows order. You're not a thinking human being. You're not allowed to think. You are not allowed to exercise judgment. You are not allowed to question anything. No order, no matter how repellent or illegal it may seem to you. You're not allowed to, don't even have a conscience. You just be essentially a fucking human robot. You do what you are told. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to serve if that's all you are? You're not valued. I mean, isn't that what we're saying? Isn't that, if you follow this out, this is what these MAGAs think of the military. They don't value these people. They don't think that these are intelligent, well-trained, well-educated people with good judgment and morals. I guess well-trained to them simply means conditioned to obey no matter what. So I guess if that is what we mean by well-trained, then, these MAGAs would want them to be well-trained if that's what it means. But is that what we mean by well-trained military? To just no question whatsoever? No independent judgment? You do it. You shoot that brown motherfucker on sight. If he looks Hispanic, put a bullet in his head. And you're not allowed to question. And that's what we want in this country? We want members of the military who will follow an order like that without question because they were told? People who believe that to question an order would be sedition and treason, and so you don't. You just do it. This moron, this is how you set a dangerous precedent. What do you think sounds like the more dangerous precedent? What do you think sounds like the more dangerous course of action? To have members of the military exercising independent judgment and questioning orders if they sound blatantly illegal. Nobody's suggesting that they get an order that, I don't really like that order. I think I'd make a different decision, so I'm not going to do that. No. It would have to be an illegal order. And by the way, who gets to determine that? Well, ultimately, if these people follow illegal orders and commit crimes in the process, it's going to be a jury of their peers making that determination. And they don't want to be in that position, but they can be. They're not immune from criminal prosecution just because they're following orders. No, that's one of the reasons in their own self-interest to disobey, to refuse illegal orders. But who else gets to make the determination? Do they just all just make this on their own? Well, what they're supposed to do is seek out legal advice from legal advisors in the military, JAG officers, right? Well, guess what? Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth have gotten rid of most of them because they don't want members of the military to seek out a legal opinion, questioning the legality of orders they receive. This was done very specifically, with a very specific reason in mind. They are setting the military up. And that's one of the reasons Trump and MAGA reacted so angrily to all this. Not the MAGA morons online. There's no thought behind anything they do. But Stephen Miller, who had been on this for days before Trump weighed in, the reason Stephen Miller reacted so angrily, and probably is the reason Trump said what he said, is because they know what they're planning. They're planning for Trump never to leave office. And they're planning to use the military. Or at least that may be one of the options they're exploring. And they need for members of the military to follow orders without question. And they don't want them seeking out legal advice if they do have questions. There's going to be no one to whom they can turn to get legal advice about the legality of an order they receive. That's one of the reasons Stephen Miller and Trump reacted so angrily. They don't want members of the military being told the fact that they are obligated to refuse illegal orders. They don't want them thinking that. They want them thinking like this jackass thinks, that members of the military are not to question orders no matter how awful or illegal. You do it. You put that Hispanic down because you were told to. This is some dangerous shit. And this little fucking douchebag, this is how you set a dangerous precedent. And you know, all of these, because all these people pretend to be conservatives, right? Not a damn one of them, I think, they are so far removed from what traditional conservatism has been. They couldn't tell you what conservative means. It's whatever Donald Trump says. That's what's conservative to them. Donald Trump is no conservative and never has been. He's a fascist. Big difference. But these conservatives had always talked about limited government and, being fearful of a government that has too much power. That's why we need the Second Amendment to take up arms against a tyrannical government. Here, they are all in favor of the United States military with all their weapons, all their power. They want them to follow orders without question. No independent judgment whatsoever. You follow any order you are given, including orders to murder your fellow citizens. Because that's where this logically goes. If they can't question any order, if they can't refuse any order, then there's nothing that they can refuse. And that could include a whole lot of really bad things that you would think actual conservatives might be worried about. And actual conservatives might, be in favor of members of the military understanding their oath to the Constitution and understanding that they are not to obey illegal orders, that they are to discharge their duties in a lawful manner, consistent with their oaths to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. But that's not what these people want, because none of these damn people are conservatives. They're fascists. They're dangerous. It's a violent and dangerous fascist cult. That's what MAGA is. So, anyway, fuck this guy and fuck the rest of them.